Yes, exploiting you for views.
Hello everyone, I have a brand new video for you today and it's going to be talking all about that character from Deadpool and Wolverine, and this is my special guest, a very big kitty. Okay, she didn't want to be in the video, so that said, good morning. So, Deadpool and Wolverine has been out for a week. There's been spoilers all over the internet, and I've accidentally, accidentally spoiled things on my channel for you people as I've been trying to talk about this subject for quite some time. But I really have a lot to say about it, believe it or not, because there was a certain character that I am invested in that appeared in Deadpool and Wolverine, and I had a reaction to it. So there's this certain character from Marvel Comics that I am quite the big fan of and that I've talked about a whole lot. And he recently made an appearance in the film Deadpool and Wolverine. And upon hearing that this character was going to appear at all, I was excited because I'm like, I am ready to get any crumbs from this character since they haven't been used much in anything, and I am just ready for it. I am ready to feast. And then the leaks of this character came out online, and I knew I couldn't share it, but let's just pull up. I was so excited to get some of this character finally after all of this time, and oh no, no. Marvel's just trying to do me wrong. They're just trying to do me wrong. And before you get mad at me, because I've seen the reactions online, and I needed to make a video after seeing the reactions. For days now, I've just seen these viral posts about how amazing this rendition of the character is, and how he should get his own movie. No. Let's not go there now. Let's not go there. Okay, let's break this down. First of all, is this comic accurate? Well, in terms of the suit they're using, yes, but I still think it's a very lazy rendition of the suit. And that's my first problem with it. This looks like bad cosplay in more ways than one, and it isn't just the suit. Everything about this suit looks so rubbery. Like, it looks like a toy. It doesn't even look necessarily like what I would imagine the suit to look like in live action. Gaudy colors that are just bright, sure. But everything is rubber. The coat looks like it can't even move. It's just rubber. The cowl's my big problem with this suit. It's rubber. I always thought it was fabric, but the rubber makes it stand out so much, and it's so weird because obviously this is Channing Tatum. This is a reference to how the character was, how he was supposed to get a movie as the character. He had been fighting for it for like 15 years, never worked out, and now he finally gets his chance. Listen, I have never been a fan of the idea of Channing Tatum as Gambit. Even back, like, in 2016 when that movie was originally supposed to come out, he was a lot younger and all of that, and I just thought, this guy isn't Gambit. He doesn't look like him. He hasn't played characters that I think are similar, which give me the impression that he could play the character, and this kind of clinches that for me, because the suit is a problem, first of all, but then there is the performance of the character. Oh, okay. A lot of people are saying, and I do not understand why people are saying this, that, Channing Tatum's like the good version of this character, and Taylor Kitsch, who played him for like 5 minutes in Wolverine Origins back in 2009, he was the bad version of this character. I don't know what you're saying, and maybe this is a hot take. I actually liked Taylor Kitsch as Gambit. Was he the perfect rendition of this character? He was given awful material to work with. They gave him like a general southern accent that wasn't Cajun. But what was good about him is that he had the general look of the character, except for one thing, which we'll talk about in a minute. He looked like the character, and he had the whole suave vibe of the character. He had the character's personality. That's why I liked Taylor Kitsch. I was like, he actually is a decent Gambit. If only he had been given better material. But this one, setting aside the suit for a minute, which, by the way, is not what Channing Tatum would have been wearing if he had done his movies in Fox. No way, because they weren't comic accurate at all. They weren't striving for that at all. I don't understand if this is supposed to be a joke or if it's supposed to be actually taken seriously, because people have told me both things. If you don't like this rendition of Gambit, they'll say, oh, well, it's supposed to be a joke. That's all it is. If you do like it, they're like, yeah, he's just so cool. So many people are just saying he's so cool. Even in the movie, Deadpool talks him up as just being this, he's just so amazing. It's so weird. And Ryan Reynolds been talking about him embodying the character. And I'm like, what are you talking about? There's no charm in this version. He doesn't look a thing like the character. And I'm sorry, I never like to critique someone for their looks. But Gambit is supposed to be like one of the most attractive male characters in the Marvel universe. He's supposed to have women throwing themselves at him. I'm like, this guy, I'm sorry. No, and this was always one of my problems. No, and I'm sorry to have to go there, but it's like if you were having someone play Thor, you need to get somebody like Chris Hemsworth, right? They need to look the part. You can get like an average-looking Joe to play Peter Parker or something, though surprisingly, Peter Parker does get a lot of girlfriends. But not for Gambit. You need something better. There's like no mystery to this character. There is nothing attractive about this character. I'm sorry. This is not Gambit, and also. Once again, the accent, they like it's more Cajun than Taylor Kitsch, I guess. It's so overdone though. But once again, I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be a joke or not because they make fun of it in the movie. But Channing Tatum was building himself up this whole time as I should play Gambit because I'm Cajun and I can do a great Cajun accent. I'm like, is this the accent or are you intentionally making it worse as a joke? And I don't know because they keep talking about how this guy is just embodying the character. They're not talking about him as if it's a joke. And here's the good thing I'll say about this. And I know you're all mad at me for being negative on this. Here is what I'll say about it that's good. I loved the effects of his cards. I loved the effects of his fight style. I thought they were very well done. And they show what could be done to a better version of Gambit in live action. But they were kind of ruined, not by the suit, because if they had just done complete comic book accurate suit, that would have been fine. But the guy in the costume, Gambit should be leaner. He should be in shape. He should be fit. He should be muscular, but he needs to be leaner because he's supposed to be an acrobatic character. Channing Tatum, and I think this is always the problem, is he's just way too bulky. Like, once again, talking about the types of people to get for these roles, both Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth were very bulked up, but Chris Hemsworth was bulked up in the way so that he could play Thor. Thor is not an acrobatic character. He's just super strong. Chris Evans was a bit leaner, so you could see all these acrobatics from him. Channing Tatum, way too bulky, and his face doesn't look like the character, and his hair doesn't look like the character. And here is the thing, and here's the thing that I'm going to argue against to the people who say, well, it's comic accurate, and you can't fault them for being comic accurate. Where are his red eyes? Where are his red eyes? In this movie, Channing Tatum introduces himself as Remy LeBeau, Le Diablo Blanc. That means the White Devil. The reason why Gambit has that title is because of the red eyes. That's the whole point. And like Taylor Kitsch didn't have the red eyes. He had them for a minute. That was back when they were not doing comic book accurate things at all in the Fox universe. But I'm like, your entire thing about this character is you're like, look, don't laugh at him. He's just as comic accurate as possible. Where are the red eyes? Are you trying to do me, Marvel? Did you think I wouldn't see that? How can you introduce the character as the White Devil and not have his red eyes? And you might say to me right now, why are you getting so upset about this? Because it's just a bit role in a silly movie. Like, Channing Tatum's not going to come back. No one's ever really gone is the motto at Disney right now. I am not trusting that they're not going to bring back this version of the character for Secret Wars or even the main MCU. Kevin Feige has been talking like they're never going to recast Wolverine. He's going to play the role till he's 90. They have no plans to recast that character. So I have a right to say this is not, no, as a Gambit fan, do not accept this. If it's just a bit role in a movie that goes away over time in a silly movie, fine. Channing Tatum got to play the character. I think that there is a major difference between really, really wanting to play the character and actually embodying that character. And I have actually read the summary of what was going to be Channing Tatum's Gambit, and I wasn't impressed. He seems like he wanted to turn the character into a 21 Jump Street sort of thing, and that's not the character. That's not fitting. This is not Gambit. Interestingly, if you look at Taylor Kitsch, and I can't believe I'm like standing for Taylor Kitsch right now, if you look at photoshopped photos of him with the red eyes, I'm like, that's Gambit. Thank you. That looks like the character. He embodied the character more. Am I going to say that he's the perfect person who to ever exist as the character? No, he was not given good material at all. But he was a lot better than this. And I need to get out in front of all of those comments and things that say that this is like the most amazing version ever, who should get his own movie. No, just keep him as a little cameo for some service for Channing Tatum. Don't move forward with this version. But they are going to move forward with this character because Gambit has been appearing more lately after he wasn't appearing at all. They've been trying to get movies off the ground for him for so long, and they should, because I believe that this character, this is one of, you guys don't know. You MCU fans don't know, because when I talk about Gambit on this channel, most people don't even know what I'm talking about. This is an amazing character, and while he has gotten good appearances outside of the comics, he has never been portrayed as well as he is in comics. He has never lived up to his potential. Some people think the character is lame because they're like, oh, he just was that one guy from X-Men the Animated Series who never got a lot of development. The reason why Gambit didn't get a lot of development overall in X-Men the Animated Series is because he had barely existed in comics at that point, and there was not a lot to pull from, and that's why you just kind of got the bare bones of him. But the comics, they have gone through entire storylines of the amazing depth of this character and why he's so interesting. He has so much potential on the screen and why he's one of my favorite characters. And it's amazing how he's been so disserviced over the years, barely appearing in anything. When he did, he was a villain. He recently appeared in X-Men the Animated Series, and I liked AJ Lacasio's voice for him, but even there, even though he got some great moments, he was killed off pretty quickly. That still is not Gambit living up to his full potential, because that was like all the good side of Gambit. That was like putting all the good positive elements of Gambit on display to fatten him up as the pig for the slaughter, to give him a sympathetic kill-off. Didn't explore any of his flaws. No, you need to read the comics to understand how good this character is and how interesting they are as a character. The whole thing about Gambit is he's really not who he appears on the outside. On the outside, he appears to be this cocky, womanizing character with a lot of secrets, very shady at first when he pops into comics. No one can really trust him, but the more you read, the more you understand this depth, that Gambit is a character with a lot of guilt and a lot of self-hatred. And it isn't just because, as X-Men 97 tried to imply, that he was a thief. No, Gambit is pretty proud of being a thief, but it goes beyond that. One of the best comics I've ever read, period, is X-Men 33, and that story, it tells the backstory of Gambit, or a story from his past, in which he meets this woman and he seduces her for the fun of it, essentially to steal some jewelry from her, and that leads her to eventually being killed by Sabretooth, something that he didn't intend. But it's a really dark story, and it's Sabretooth retelling this story to Rogue, who is in a relationship with Gambit, and she's trying to find out more about him because he has so many secrets he won't tell her. And the importance of that story and why it's so well written is it's so dark, but it also tells you who Gambit is, why he was such a horrible person in his past, not just a thief, but even worse than that, and why he has so much self-guilt and so much he feels he needs to hide as he's trying to ignore his past and become a better person, but he doesn't know how. He also doesn't want to fully admit things that he's done in his past to the X-Men or to Rogue, because he doesn't want to lose that. But you get the sense of him wrestling with his guilt and wrestling with desperately wanting to change who he was. And one of the most key events that changed him was the mutant massacre, where Gambit did a job for Sinister in exchange to limit his powers, in which he led Sabretooth and a bunch of other lethal mutants to massacre the Morlocks on Sinister's command. Gambit didn't know what he was doing. He just thought he was leading them to do another job, like to steal or something, and that happened. And that was the huge event that that happened and changed him. And you get this entire arc, and Rogue is very important to this arc and having him change, where you get to see how he's changed and who he was before and who he is now, how he tries to help Rogue and how he tries to love her even though they can't touch, and how they have all the conflict within trust given Gambit's past. Throughout his history, throughout the decades of this history, you see the change of his character, and you get to explore what is called as obsessive self-guilt, and him actually becoming a hero and being a loner that thinks that no one cares about him and that he's beyond redemption. But, you know, then you get to see the real changes in the character and who he is now. Like, there's a great series from X-23 where X-23, Laura, as obviously you know from Logan, is not getting the father figure in her life that she needs from Logan himself. But Gambit sort of seeing the similarity in their stories, seeing her as also an orphan who was born into this horrible life, who wants to change and feels like she can't. He relates to that, and he actually steps in and tries to make her feel like a person and tries to give her what he wishes he had in his life. And it's just this amazing dynamic. And at that point, that comic had come out years later in his history. You see the gradual change in him and who he is now, and actually the depth and maturity that he gains over the years. And you get to see that now that he and Rogue eventually get married, how he has put so much of an emotional investment in their relationship and just never gave up on her through all that. And he has all this history as like a womanizer and all of that, but he stuck with her that entire time when they couldn't touch, when she was having all these issues as Rogue is a very emotional person, and he stuck with her the entire time. And it just shows you this amazing depth of character. But Gambit oftentimes still does not see himself as a hero, but once again, he just has such depth of character, and you just see that there's so much more to him as you read, and so much to explore in terms of redemption and who he is as a character. And that is why I want to see this character done well so badly with all of it. And you need all of those elements, right? Like X-Men 97, that version was good in my opinion, but it also really ignored all of the flaws that make his story worth it. They just made him into a thief. They literally retconned the Morlock Massacre stuff, which is like key to his character. In my opinion, that kind of made Rogue look worse in the relationship, because in the comic she has ample reason not to trust Gambit, but in the show it just made her seem like she was rejecting literally the best person ever in her life, literally the best person ever in her life. But that's why I'm so passionate about seeing Gambit done right on big screen, because I've read these comics, and you should read them too, where what has never been explored, even in the cartoons, even in X-Men 97, the real darkness of his backstory and the real dimension of his character and the depth of the character. With all that stuff, you get like this fun, flirty, outward, cocky nature of the character, but then inside you've just got a lot of swirling, obsessive guilt and all of that. And the idea, like, Gambit almost seems suicidal in some comics that I've read, because he just feels like he can't change who he was, but then he shows like the exact opposite of what you expect from him so many times. But once again, that's why this character is so interesting. That's why I'm very passionate of seeing them done right. But Channing Tatum's version is not it. This 21 Jump Street version of the character is not it. And that's what I wanted to share with you all. And once again, you should read these comics. Read X-Men 33. Read X-Men 45, which came out, which shows a great contrast of who Gambit was before and who he is now. Read the X-23 series with Gambit by Marjorie Liu. It's all very great stuff. But thank you for my little Gambit, listening to my little Gambit ramble. Are you at all interested in this character going forward, or do you disagree and you really like Channing Tatum? Did you really like Channing Tatum? I don't understand it. I don't understand you, but you are free to have your opinion. But thank you all for watching. Thank you, patrons, as always, for supporting this channel. If you want to support me on Patreon, you can check the link in the description, and I will see you guys next time.